Second story I want to talk about today, and the third one will be fun, folks. I'm not just gonna sad us to death here, but second story is Ticketmaster to require negative COVID-19 test or vaccination to attend concerts. The pre-concert checklist for music fans is about to get more complicated as Ticketmaster is planning to check the coronavirus vaccination status of concert goers prior to shows once a treatment is approved. It looks like they have some sort of scheme that they're planning in order to go through a Ticketmaster concert. Either you need a COVID-19 test to prove you're negative, or you need a vaccination certificate. I guess they're just ignoring the fact that the flu vaccine's been around since before 1942. It's been around for 75 years. It has not eliminated the flu. And people who've gotten the flu vaccine have gotten the flu, but I guess they don't really care about that. I guess they're just going to assume that this vaccine is 100% perfect, and if you get it, you can't possibly get or spread COVID-19, which is not even remotely true based on most of the vaccines we have. We'll see what happens with this one. It's not even out yet. They're claiming it's 90% efficiency. I doubt that, but we'll see what happens. But in general, I'll never use Ticketmaster again. If I have to never go to a concert again, I don't really care. Boycott Ticketmaster. Don't use their services unless that's what you're into. It's up to you. But this is kind of what I warned people for a while now. Even last year I warned people, but especially since the lockdowns. The election's still underway, regardless of what social media wants to say, but whether Trump or Biden wins, we're facing a huge crisis that eventually people are going to have to rise up against and really protest peacefully, or else it's gonna just take over society forever. Even if Trump wins, like Trump was the president for, January to now, he's still the president. Did he stop the lockdowns? No. Did he do anything about, corporations implementing laws he didn't agree with? No, he doesn't really have that much power. Maybe if he wins a second term, he could figure out how to get it. But this was kind of my warning to everybody. And a lot of people are, they're like, trust the plan. It's all going to go down and we're just going to live free forever and someone else is going to do something for me. It sounds good. And a lot of people believe that because it's like, yeah, I want just everything to be great and I don't have to do anything myself. I could just sit back and watch, Durham do it for me. But the truth is, regardless of what happens with that and regardless of what happens with this election, eventually you are going to have to, rejoin your body, look at society and realize it's going to come down to a numbers game. If enough people reject this, it's going to stop. If enough people accept it, this is your new normal, this is your new life. So even if Trump wins by a landslide and you have a Republican Senate and Congress and House, people still don't understand the dynamic of, regardless of what happened this election, Facebook is not going to listen to Trump, and they don't listen to America. YouTube is not going to, Google is not going to, Lyft is not going to, Uber is not going to, American Airlines is not going to, Delta is not going to, Ticketmaster is not, and I could go down the list and I could show you nearly every major corporation in this country that runs every part of society. Concerts like Ticketmaster, rideshare like Uber and Lyft, airlines like American and Delta. Every single company pretty much is liberal, is pretty much, what you would consider a two-party system. If you say, well, some of them are Republicans. They're more like the Mitt Romney, John McCain Republicans. They control our society outside of Trump's reach, and they're not going to listen. They're going to do mandatory vaccinations. They're going to do COVID-19 checks. There is no super secret happy ending where Trump just wins and you don't have to do anything. And it's not a bad thing. This is not a black pill like, oh, we're all doomed. I'm just saying, like, the people who are just sitting there and just like expecting it to go away, maybe people that are, indifferent, they say like, I don't like politics. I don't care if Trump wins. I don't care if Biden wins. Maybe I'll vote for Joe Jorgensen. It's the two-party system. It's a trap. It's a scam. Doesn't matter to me. Part of it's true, but part of it is like, eventually people are going to have to realize like this is not like the 1950s. This is not like the 70s or 80s or 90s. And like eventually you're going to realize, unless you want to live like a prisoner the rest of your life, you will have to take a stand at a certain point. And I wish it wasn't that way, but they're making it impossible for people to even work and do their jobs. Literally, they're shutting down people's jobs. Millions of people getting laid off and such because they're not even allowed to go to their building anymore. The government has decided, or the corporate structure has decided, that you're not even allowed in the building, like it's quarantined, like out of a sci-fi movie. This is really happening. So even if Trump wins, even if he gets away with, taking this back, you're still going to have to face this eventually. And whether it's boycotting like every part of society, like I'm not going to go to the concert, I'm not going to get on an airline. I'm preparing next year. I mean, I'm going to go back for Christmas, see my family and such, but I'm honestly preparing for never being able to fly on an airlines again. I'm not taking tests every 2 seconds. I'm not taking a vaccine. I'm not taking a vaccine certificate around to show everybody I got the vaccine. I don't want it. I don't need it. And I would rather not fly, never go to a concert. I'll boycott most of society and buy property somewhere and get a farm if I have to. I don't want to do that. I enjoy America, but this is it, folks. Whether Trump wins or not. If Trump wins, there's a path forward. If Biden wins, it's going to be him hiding behind a PR team for the entire time, and you're not going to be able to question him and all. Like it's coming to that point either way, because most of corporate America is going to not function how you want them to, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it. You're not going to be able to do anything about it in states, and if the national, whatever you want to call it, national government decides to step in and say we don't agree with this, Facebook, Google can have a standoff. They're so powerful. They're potentially more powerful than the US government. They have all your data, all your information. They control the flow of information. And also, they just have so much money and power in this country that if they decide to not play ball and United Airlines joins them and Delta joins them and Uber and Lyft and Ticketmaster, now you're facing a prison society where you're not even allowed to disagree and you have to just not use their services. And this is what, before I move on, in my opinion, after reading their books, after seeing the type of people they are, after studying communism, what I personally think they're doing, besides the COVID-19 Great Reset that they brag about in books, the World Economic Forum, they're bragging about it, and then if I bring it up, I'm a conspiracy theorist. But what I think they're doing is trying to basically establish things in the Communist Manifesto where, total control of bank, total control of communication, elimination of private property. If they own and control all the banking, all the media, and you don't have the ability to do transport outside of their system, like when Gavin Newsom says, we're going to go to all, the cars of electric. That sounds great, but who owns the electric cars? Who's going to control it? If it gets into the hands of Gavin Newsom or the state, now you have 100% control on electric cars and you can't get off the grid. Other cars, it's like, I can drive and I could turn it on and off with a key. If everything's electric, it's all run like a computer system grid. Now you've lost control of transportation, 100% control. That's in the Communist Manifesto. This is Karl Marx's plan 200 years ago. And also, what they're doing with these COVID-19 lockdowns, they're killing small businesses, they're killing mom and pop shops, they're killing private property, they're killing any business off the grid. Who's benefiting greatly from this? You could look at the stats. It's not my opinion. Jeff Bezos is doing better than normal. Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook are doing better than normal. Uber and Lyft, I'm sure, are having no problem outside of their little skirmish with California. They're growing because you can't do it. I have to get Uber Eats. I have to get Amazon because I can't go anywhere. And if I go somewhere, they treat me like a slave, so I don't want to go there. So they're basically taking over everything. They want total control of society, so they've schemed people into thinking it's a public health safety crisis, even though all the data from Sweden, from Africa, from America, from the states, from individual counties, from cities, all the data shows that places that locked down are not doing astronomically better. Places that didn't lock down are not doing any worse. And counting cases is asinine because there's always going to be eventually, whether it be through, what they think is vaccination, what I think could be done naturally, herd immunity, you're going to have to, the cases are going to go up and down. It's about deaths. It's about people dying. It's about long-term solutions. It's not just about counting cases. That doesn't really matter over the scale of 3 years, but that's what they're doing, and they're not doing it randomly. I think they want total control of society. I think they want to kill off anybody off the grid, and then they're going to control the grid. And once they control the grid and nobody's allowed off the grid because they've destroyed every part of being off the grid, then you're screwed. And I think they know that, and I think they're all in whether Trump wins or not. So this is something that we have to face, and what Ticketmaster's planning to do, I've called this for a year now. It's not just going to be Ticketmaster. It's going to be the airlines. It's going to be every public place that they don't own. So as everything's closing, Amazon's doing good, but your business closed. This restaurant closed. This restaurant closed. If they can control the whole food industry and you can't get food outside of Uber or Lyft, then you have to play by their rules. And if you don't play by their rules, you don't get the food. This is what they're gearing up towards. It's not game over. There's still ways around it. But I would say don't get scared, get prepared. And I think people should get prepared to, I'm not trying to fearmonger, but in a non-scary way, I'm prepared to never fly again after 2021. I just think that's a huge possibility. I would be more shocked if the airlines didn't do what I think they're going to do, which is you have to get a vaccine certificate. you have to get a test, you have to do this, you have to do that, and they're never going to relinquish this power because it's not based off a common sense reason. They've moved the goalpost 5 times and now they're counting cases. If this is anything like the common cold, if this is anything like the flu doesn't disappear, the common cold doesn't disappear. The flu vaccine's been here since before 1942, and we haven't eliminated the flu. In fact, we've had some of the worst flu seasons in the last 5 and 10 years that we've had in decades. So if they can't eliminate the flu with the flu vaccine, and they've had 80 years to do so, and the flu has not gone down, it's actually getting worse in some elements, and it's getting more deadly, and there's strains manipulating, how in the world are we going to get rid of coronavirus? There's a chance this is here to stay. There's a chance somehow we could magically eliminate it, but Cuomo is mass counting cases, and he's shutting his society down based off 3,955 cases and 26 deaths. I mean, on a scale of how big New York is, that's nothing. This is like the obesity and heart disease and probably even opioids have probably killed comparable people in the last couple of days. And he's going to shut society down until he gets rid of cases. Cases are never going to go away. There's a chance that they could stay forever, just like every other common cold and virus we know. I mean, very few of them just disappear. So this is such a scheme to last forever. And I don't understand how people don't realize it yet. And outside of the, politics of Biden and Trump, clearly Biden is pro-lockdown, and he's going to work seamlessly with Facebook, Google, Twitter, Uber, Ticketmaster, and it's going to be the machine. He's going to be the faceless, soulless, he can't even speak properly, PR team, not even going to be there, never going to answer questions. He's going to be the ghost of the machine, and Trump is going to fight the machine. But even if Trump wins, this is what I'm telling people, you have to get ready for a crazy 2021. It's not going away. I wish it was. I wish we can just go back to normal, but there's going to have to be some sort of power balance and standoff, because even if Trump wins, every major corporation is going to take a stand against him. And I think he knows that, and I think a lot of people know that. So I'm not scary. I'm saying bring it on. I saw this coming. I'm not worried about it. It's just where we're at. And you look at certain countries, they're locking down over and over and over again, and Europe has no leader like Trump. So be very thankful and grateful you have a leader like President Trump still in the White House, understanding what's going on, and regardless of what fake news says, still has a chance to serve 4 more years legally. Why they pin you as a victim?